What is up, guys? It's Chick Kackis this time. Thank you so much for stopping by. And today,
we are going to be going over some brand spanking new Destiny 2 news, courtesy of the Bungie weekly update that has just gone live, unveiling official information. And so, let's get started. But first, 72-hour advanced GG sale, 20% off if you use code KackisHD. Get on it. They're already selling out a ton of flavors. All right, now let's talk about that brand new news. Firstly, Bungie talked a little bit about Guardian Games and, Titans. We're coming back, baby. Hunters thought they were just going to blow through this. They won the first day by a lot. 2 days in a row, it looks like Titans are going to claim it. Warlocks? Step it up, guys. All right, now, mainly, Bungie talked about some huge changes, and they actually stated that they're going to be talking about, big gameplay overhauling changes in every single TWAB going forward for the next several weeks, because there's some definite things that need to be fixed within this game at a base level. So this time they're talking about how they're essentially overhauling the Trials of Osiris reward system, and just there's going to be so much different, and they're also talking about how they're addressing cheaters. So, what is Bungie doing to Trials of Osiris? Well, they lay out a bunch of what they believe are problems and offer their solutions. And this stuff is going to start in Season 11, so next season, and then move forward beyond there. So, the first problem. Token rewards incentivizes players to farm to 3 wins and reset their card. Now, this was a huge thing. Basically, your toughest matches would be against the token farmers, matches 1, 2, and 3, which absolutely shouldn't be the case, and it was chasing a lot of lower skilled or more casual players completely out of the playlist because they were just matching god tier players, resetting their cards over and over and over again. So, Bungie's solution. In Season 11, we're planning on creating token payout milestones at 3, 5, and 7 wins that give you successively larger chunks of tokens. The bonus tokens passage should increase these payouts, and on a flawless run, it will generate a significant token payout. So that is huge, and that means that those extremely high-skill players, instead of just farming the first 3 wins, they're now incentivized to go all the way to 7 wins. So you still might run into them, but that's Trials, and at least you're going to run into them much more often at matches 6 or 7 when you've already got a few rewards and you've already got the ability to turn in your tokens and so on. Speaking of that, let's continue. The next problem. Trials is unrewarding for players stuck at 1 to 2 wins. For those who don't know, you have these tokens that will disappear at the end of the weekend, and if you don't get to 3 wins, you can't even turn them in. Your efforts are wasted. So, Bungie's solution. Create a weekly bounty that encourages participation each weekend and does not require match wins. When redeemed, the bounty will reward the same item that comes from the 3-win passage, unlocking the engram for purchase that week. That is a fantastic idea. So even if you are not a PvP god, you can go in, grab this bounty, and obviously it's going to be dependent on whatever the 3-win reward is. If it's something like an armor piece, it's kind of a feels bad moment. If it's something like the Astral Horizon shotgun, things are going to be different. You can then just play Trials, lose every time, but be advancing this bounty, and once you complete it, turn it in. Not only just get loot directly from that, you could get a God Roll Astral or a God Roll Sniper or a God Roll Summoner directly from, the bounty, which is a great incentive, but that's also essentially what they're saying here, going to count as if you've gotten 3 wins, and then you can start turning in your tokens, so you won't longer be stuck at just 2 wins, unable to do anything, and watching your tokens disappear. Moving on from there, the next problem. Trials feels unrewarding compared to other endgame activities. So the solution is to inject more chances to earn masterworking materials from Trials. Masterworking/infusion materials will come from 3, 5, and 7 wins payouts in Season 11. We're also looking into possibly adding new material-focused farming cards in Season 12. Alright, well, that is definitely one of the bigger complaints. People are saying, yeah, finally we can get these masterworking materials from Trials, but just farming Nightfalls over and over again are way more efficient than getting all the way to 7 wins. So making those more lucrative is a good thing, but of course, this wasn't that big of an issue. The issue was more stemmed from the fact that the flawless rewards are somewhat underwhelming, to be honest, for a lot of players. What are you going to get? An armor piece? Well, you don't really need a pinnacle armor piece if you've already gotten to the max, or heck, you don't even need to get to the max because the Grandmaster difficulty only requires you to get to 1025. So a lot of players just didn't have that much of a reason to go flawless, and that's also feeding into the farming, for tokens rather than trying to go flawless. But thankfully, they actually talk a little bit about some solutions to improve that, mainly Adept weapons. I've been harping on about this forever. I think that, Adept weapons and their lack thereof have caused a lot of problems. They de-incentivize going flawless, and if you've wondered, why do you have to get to 3 wins just to get loot? Why is the loot so much harder to get in Destiny 2? It's because there's no Adept weapons. Bungie couldn't just give away all the loot immediately like they kind of did in Destiny 1. In Destiny 1, you just had bounties to get Trials loot because the real reward was the Adept weapons. That's what people chased. So without that, you had to make everything hardcore, and it backfired spectacularly. Thankfully, Bungie seems to be thinking about a way to add their version of Adept weapons. They might not be called Adept weapons, but they say, right now we are currently looking at giving these weapons the ability to replace the weapon mod slot with an Adept mod slot, and that name might change. So this can accept custom built mods in addition to the normal list of weapon mods. All of this is subject to change as we continue to develop, and they are going to share more in the future. So I think what they're looking at is you get an Adept Summoner, and it gets a special mod slot. And in that mod slot, you can put in a backup mag, you can put in the normal assortment of weapon mods, but then they're going to have a couple of mods that will only drop within Trials, like maybe a mod that gives you better handling if you're last alive in your fire team, something like that. And then you can specifically equip those mods only on the kind of like Adept weapons. I think that's a good idea, something to distinguish these weapons from the pack and also to make going flawless actually worthwhile. Now, all of that is great. However, a flawed reward structure is only one of the problems Trials is facing. The other big one is cheaters, especially on PC. It's gotten so bad that if you actually look at the numbers of people playing Trials within Destiny 2, PC is significantly lower in terms of a percentage than the consoles, because just people are sticking away from PC Trials because of how prolific hackers and cheaters are. So what they're going to do, this is like what Bungie has outlined we are going to do for these different types of cheaters. And they do say that cheating has gone up. They actually say 50% since January. So that is absolutely insane. Now, Bungie did take some precautionary measures for Trials. For example, partnered with Valve to integrate Steam Datagram Relay into their PC build, and that's going to mitigate DDoS attacks. And in fairness to them, it did work, and it's almost impossible to get DDoSed on PC now. Console's a whole different thing, but while that's gone down, cheating has gone up. So firstly, memory poking attacks to gain an advantage, and this is going to be infinite ammo, infinite ability energy, infinite respawns, teleports, etc. And honestly, all they say here is that, yeah, these are gonna happen. The way Destiny is built, the fact that it's a pretty unique PvE and PvP experience, and the server structure means that it is very difficult to mitigate these attacks. So they say they're working on it, but unfortunately, that's all they really say. Now, in terms of aimbots, they do say we have plans to address this problem, but we'll keep the details close to our vest to prevent further hacks and workarounds. Okay, so wall hacks, same as above. Lag switching. So they say we have detection and banning systems in this area, and we'll continue to hone those. We want to be cautious here because some players suffer with unreliable internet through no fault of their own and aren't using it to gain an advantage. All right there. Moving on, consoles. DDoSing in Trials. So this is really interesting. They say we have detection and banning systems around this. We've been evolving them since the original Destiny, but they're imperfect because DDoS occurs entirely outside of the machine running the game. One long-term mitigation to this is adopting an SDR on consoles as well, and that's what they did on Steam and PC, which we hope to do at some point in the future, and that's going to be huge if they actually do that. Moving on, lag switching, and they say see above. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, that's great and all, but what are they actually doing to combat cheaters? Well, they say, firstly, we're shifting more people to help work on this space. So that's going to be more people reviewing reports, more people actually banning cheaters, etc. So just more staff actually working to combat cheaters. That's great. Also, we're changing a key policy. Fire teams of cheaters are no longer innocent. This is huge. So, a lot of people get carried to flawless by a cheater. They just sit there, they're not even doing anything, but the guy has 1,000 rounds per minute, mountaintop, and is just crushing all the way to flawless. Now, if you're part of that fire team, even if you're not cheating, you can get banned. I think this is a great change because you know exactly what you're doing for the most part. People will pay for these services and they think they're totally safe. They're like, hey, I'm not cheating, I'm not going to get banned. Now, hey, Bungie says if you want to ride with them to flawless, the ban hammer will come for you as well. In addition to that, Bungie says we're considering requiring a much higher player time investment to play Trials. So they say we're interested in your thoughts on this. What if you had to have about 100 hours of playtime on an account to participate in any Trials match where a ticket with more than 4 wins was at stake on either side? Very interesting, because one of the problems is that people will get banned and just make a new account. Destiny 2 is completely free to play, and although you have to get to 960 power, I believe, to participate in Trials, well, that is pretty achievable in not too long. But of course, the downside for this is that, someone buys Destiny 2, they get super into the game, and like the first weekend they want to do Trials, and they can't, they have to put another 50 hours into the game. That doesn't feel good for that person, so that's a very interesting discussion. There is also a section where Bungie says, look, people are saying we don't have anti-cheat. We do. They actually ban about 2,000 accounts a week, but clearly more needs to be done. Moving on from there, something pretty cool. Bungie, they made a mistake. They accidentally listed some of the rewards for buying this season's pass for Season of the Worthy as a new exotic ghost, but they meant to say the new exotic ship. With that being said, of course, they promised people a ghost and they're gonna deliver it. So this is the concept art of the ghost you're going to get. Actually love that, like you can see through it, all the wires and stuff, and it's going to have the perks Guiding Light, Omni, Telemetry, and a random destination perk. So they say, sorry for the confusion, and you'll be able to pick up the ghost next season as it goes live. And lastly, there's a whole new set of Twitch Prime rewards. We got the Marshmallow emote, an exotic ship, and an exotic ghost. There you guys go. Get on it if you don't have Twitch Prime. And if you do have Twitch Prime. But I digress, guys. That is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, found this informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at @RickKackis. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.